call the regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors, February 4th at 3 o'clock. Mr. Williams, would you lead us in a prayer, please?
Let us close our eyes. Oh, Father God, once again, you have led us to this place, Father. You allow us to lay down last night and wake up this morning, Father, and drive here safely. Father, now, once again, Father, we still churning at the mill, Father, that we can be guided by you, Father, and understanding that we all one accord, Father, even we disagree to agree. Father, be with us now and strengthen us. As we go on, in Jesus' name, we all do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Hammond, would you lead us in the pledge, please? All right. Roll call, please. Ms. Hammond.
Mr. Williams,
Present.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Present.
Mr. Crittenden,
Here.
Mr. Jesse,
Here.
Mr. Don Harris.
I'm here and present. All right, let's move right along. Approval of the consent agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to approve this consent
Thank you,
agenda.
Mr. Jesse, for that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Crittenden. Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Here?
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
A little confused here. Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Yeah. I now open the floor for any public comments. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment section. Constitutional officers, treasurer report only, pages 27 to 31. Commissioner of Revenue report only. Any discussion on either of those two items? It's in your booklet. Item C, Sheriff's Office renovation change order request, Ben Burton. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to say that the town hall is going to keep predicting winter weather like what we're having out there today.
That's what they say. It may not be.
It's on now. All right. I believe you all have the memorandum, the January 28th memorandum in your packages. I'll briefly go over it. The work is proceeding very nicely. Norman Construction is working on the interiors and that type of thing. There are 2 points I want to note in there that we thought might hold up progress, but they're moving ahead. Dominion Energy is scheduling the installation of the three-phase power if you've signed the underground agreement. Good. They're moving ahead on that. Last month, they were dragging their feet on things. Mr. Walker made a few calls and have them moving ahead on that now. The other thing was that the HRSD pump station should be active this week, which is, it's not that we needed it this week, but they had several issues about accepting it for service. Well, once it gets accepted for service, then when the sheriff's office is ready to flush the toilets, they'll be ready to accept it. You've seen the billing there. About $2.6 million has come through out of the $3.52 million contract, 76% complete. Probably a little behind where they actually are. but billing is already, always anticipates that type of thing. The issues that we're here today on to discuss are the two proposed change orders, pavement transition at the Sally Port and some storage room access, which are a total of $23,750. I believe you all have individually reviewed those, so unless you have questions, I don't have anything further.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. We're talking about 23C and 23D, those two items.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure there's any discussion necessary because we've already had some pre-discussion on that. Any discussion? If not, a motion would be in order to approve the 23,750 for item 23C and 23D.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Harris, for the motion. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, the motion's approved. Thank you, Mr. Burton, for being here today.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day. Okay, let's see here. Agency and staff reports, VDOT report only, although we do have Mr. McKnight. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to give the board a quick update of what's going on in Middlesex County. Some construction projects that are upcoming in the next 24 months that I did want to highlight. The Route 333 at 626, which is Regent Road Intersection Improvement Project, is still slated to start in December of 2026. So they are developing those plans now. As a reminder, that was the county's smart scale application at that intersection to improve safety, and it essentially adds a left turn lane off of 333 onto 626, and then some other turn lane adjustments. The shared use path in Deltaville is still on track. Those public hearing plans are being developed now. So hopefully we'll be able to get to construction here in 2026. Public hearing date as of now is slated for June of 2025, so this year. Route 17 northbound bridge replacement over Dragon Run is projected for an early 2026 start. As a reminder, that's a complete bridge replacement. During construction, I did want to mention that, like the other bridge, those traffic will be switched onto the new bridge, so it'll be one lane or two lanes for the duration of that project. The approaches, I did want to mention as well, will be raised to meet the current elevation of the new bridge on the other side. So that old bridge will be raised. Route 625, Bob's Hole Road, that pipe replacement is set to begin this month. Don't anticipate that project lasting more than a week to 2 weeks. So we'll get that project. We've got all the materials, just need to get out there and get it replaced. Some maintenance highlights that I did want to mention. It's, believe it or not, it is winter still. I know it's 70 degrees out there right now, but we have experienced quite a bit of that snowy precipitation this year. We've had a total of 6 storms. I know some of them were bigger than others, with a 7th actually on the horizon. Hopefully it doesn't come to fruition. Yeah, but been very pleased with that response and anticipate it to continue through this season. I did want to mention some items. I was contacted by the county administrator. A citizen had questioned a historical marker on Route 17 at the county line. Lane View, I believe, is where it is. It was faded. I did contact DHR, Department of Historical Resources, who manages those signs, and they are willing to replace the sign if the county agrees to pay for the new sign panel. VDOT would obviously install that new sign and pay for an installation. So I did send that to the county administrator. Just wanted to give you an update on that one. Some other items, the trees on Route 33, close to James River Equipment, those have been reviewed, and they will be removed within the next 30 days. So those trees are going to be removed. And with that, I will be glad to take any questions that the board may have.
Go ahead. Questions?
Yes, on 12, Edge Hill Road up in Churchview, I had someone call, a constituent, about trash trucks and things are going on that road, going real fast. I think if it's not posted, it's 55 miles an hour, right?
Is it well, it depends, but typically, yes, sir, statutory 55.
But then, I know they do have a problem with the trash trucks that go
Okay.
on that road, and they shouldn't be. Is there any way of putting some type of signs up on that road?
We can look at that.
Because they're not supposed to be going, trash trucks not supposed to be going on that road.
And I believe there is there's a statutory speed limit for trucks, that's 45.
45 for trucks,
Yeah.
right. Because I had the constituents talk about, say they almost ran them off the road going about 65 miles an hour.
Okay. I'll look into that.
I see here something about Route 629 hand patching. From Grafton Church to Piangtang Shores, it's like we got a pothole factory.
Yeah,
I mean, and you come and patch it and we're right back there way again. I mean, I think more of an in-depth look needs to be
okay.
taken there, and we need some help there. I mean,
On
me myself was a
629,
rock this big the other day, and I'm, jerking around it, and, I mean, but whatever you could do there, we really would appreciate it.
and I believe, is it Grafton Church 629, or is it
Stormont Road.
Stormont?
Yes.
That is on the resurfacing schedule.
When
So
you got any idea when that?
this year, I believe,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. So we do have some pretty heavy mechanized patching for
Good,
that area.
okay.
But I'll double check that.
And one other thing came up during a discussion about Stampert's Bay, and that is the intersection there with, was it 3 and Stampert's Bay?
Mm-hmm.
There's something in the works for VDOT to do something there, is that right? Or
Yes, well, it was applied for a smart scale project by the county, I think that was 2 years ago?
It was the same cycle
As Regent. Yeah, for a roundabout at that intersection, and it was approved and funded. So
Okay.
that's still in the works. It's not as close to going as Regent, but it is in the works.
Okay. Would the speed limits be changed then?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
they would have to be.
Right, okay, that's 55 is pretty quick.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. McKnight? We like seeing you here.
Like being here.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day.
You too.
Ms. Riccardi, do I need to move the budget supplement request for the digital deal for Rachel Hattenbaugh?
No, it's fine where it is because I'll be presenting on that one.
Okay, so you're good with that? All right, thank you. All right, moving right along. School matters, budget supplement request. Dr. Tracy and Ms. Murray. Good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Let us catch up with the page.
All right, I think it's page 36 in
It
your
is.
packet.
Yes, it is.
Just that one item, and we're here for appropriation of the restraint and seclusion grant into the current budget. That is a grant that comes from the Virginia Department of Education. And the intent is to provide training to our staff to be in line with our policies for restraint and seclusion.
Questions? Seeing none, motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve FY 2025-24 budget supplement request form.
Motion made by Mr. Jesse,
Second.
second by Mr. Crittenden. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, your motion is approved.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful.
Any other questions?
I have a question. You know
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for not moving. Just a confirmation that we still are all set for the, on the 18th, I believe is the date. Is that
11th,
11th?
Yep.
Thank
at
you.
4 PM.
11 at 4 PM at the Media Center.
in the Media Center at Middlesex High School.
Okay, and we're going to hear the school's budget request,
Correct.
and we'll also have a presentation on renovation of the high school.
Yes, and in between both of those, we will have dinner served by our high school nutrition department.
Good.
So 4 o'clock work session for budget, and then we plan on having a hard stop for that, and then we'll have dinner in the cafeteria there, come back to the media center, and then start the work session for the high school renovation planning committee.
Okay, and without going on too much of a limb with what the legislature is doing, are y'all going to be completely prepared with numbers on the 11th, or is it going to be some later?
We can be completely prepared with the governor's current budget.
Okay,
The hard part will be, we're getting information from the Senate and the House. They will not be providing calculation tools for both of those versions. So we'll have just somewhat of an idea of what that looks like, and then it really will depend on when they come together and when a final budget is signed by the governor. So what we will come with on the 11th will be based on the current budget amendments that the governor has.
correct. And when does the governor have to sign off on that?
Well, we'll back it up a little bit. It's a short session, so
Yes.
the General Assembly will end before the end of this month.
That's right.
I think technically he has until the end of June, looking at Mr. Walker to say before July 1. Sometimes we know that amendments can go into place before a final is signed. I am very hopeful that that doesn't drag on, because this will be the end of a 2-year biennium, this budget,
Right, okay.
right?
They
Yeah.
reconvene, I think,
Yeah.
April 2nd, and they'll work out any conference and crossover stuff, I think, that week, and then they'll probably have an approved budget, hopefully first part of April.
That's the way it should work.
I
Yeah.
got one question.
Yes, sir.
You think you could have the amount that the state have given the county for the last 3 years?
Do I have the amount that the state?
No, I said I know y'all have it. I just say I would like to see that amount at that meeting.
On the 11th? Okay.
Yes, yeah, in fact, I think the sheets that we give you go back a few years, yeah. So you can see what's come from the county, what's come from the federal government, and what's come from the locality.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I knew there was some things there going on with the governor and the legislature, et cetera, so I just wanted to be clear what you guys knew or didn't know as it pertained to that.
Hopefully, it'll be sooner this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, we always have those unknowns that tend to
That's right.
travel with us, don't we?
That's right.
Any other questions? Thank you, ladies, for being here.
All right, thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, y'all too.
Okay, social services is a report only on 3738. Any questions? Okay,
Just one.
yes.
On the report itself, it's a nice paragraph, but I'd like to see some numbers, some numbers some kind of way that, you're helping a lot of people, you're doing a good thing, but it would be good to see some numbers there.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, let's move on to item D, airport update, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I bring my posse with me.
I see that. You haven't been diced up too bad that you need to bring a whole crew of people in here, but it's nice to see all you gentlemen here.
I want to make sure we answer the questions correctly.
That's a smart man to do that. Continue on, sir.
So what we're asking for today is the airport layout plan that has the terminal building addition, the taxiway addition, and the tie-down area addition.
Okay.
So,
And that is a large booklet that was supplied to you by Mr. Lewis.
so the changes, if you wonder what the changes were, but there were minor technical changes in there. What we've got now is more reflective of reality, what we've got out there, what's actually in place now. So if you want to know exactly I can get Mr.
And that plan is, do we approve that every year?
No, sir, but, the state views this as a 30-year plan.
Okay,
A 20-year plan? Or a 20-year plan. So hopefully, until we go build something that's not on the plan, we won't have to touch this thing for as long as we're sitting here.
okay, okay. John, would you like to speak to it?
No, I think he covered it well. So, but basically what we've done is your original airport layout plan that was before was not reflective of your growth plans. So now it is reflective of the growth plans in a way of being reality, we'll say that. So it's not outreaching, not overreaching, but it's gonna meet the demands of what's anticipated for the next 5, 10, 20 years. And then there's some things that were identified on there that are a little looser. For instance, at the outskirts of the property, you have some property that may not be used by aviation development necessarily. So that's identified to where you can use it for other industrial development or other types of development that you may want to, and you don't need to go back to the state for approval to use the property for that use. Because otherwise, if you want to do something on your property that's not identified on this plan, then you'd have to go back and ask the state for approval to do so. And you'd have to go back through this process all over again. So we're trying to blanket it and cover it and basically protect you for the next 20 years, essentially, to get it set. And that booklet that you have is a narrative description to describe the justification for what's shown on the sheet and to show backup for why it's needed. So if you get into the meat
And
of it.
just for anybody that's listening in, and this is necessary for the current improvements
Yes,
as
sir.
well that we're doing at the airport.
That's correct, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Currently, your plan does not show any development on the airport. So in order to be able to move forward and request state funding, it has to be on this plan. So
Great.
they're working in parallel right now.
Yes.
So hopefully they continue down that path.
Any other questions? Mr. Attorney, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay. I got a question for you. And you might want to come up here so you can be heard. We've been talking back and forth between multi-groups about what the state aviation is going to approve or not approve. I think we have a good, firm understanding about that, and I'm going to hold you to it. But when do they make the final declaration of what we are requesting from Middlesex?
Okay, if the county and Oscar submit all of the plans and specs, all of the project application requests that is required by early March, if they do that, then the Aviation Board will consider it at its meeting on May 7. And all things being equal, I would expect that they will be approved then. And that would be approved and that meeting, the funding at that meeting is at the 90% level. And that's what's critical about having it ready for the Aviation Board to consider at its May meeting.
Okay, is there any reason that you see at this point in time that we won't meet that date?
I'm not seeing anything.
We do have an interim milestone of February 12th that we're working towards to make sure we've got everything the state identifying what the state wants on February 12th. We think we've got it, we think they've already got what they want, but I'm trying to get confirmation back from the state. John, you want to talk to
I
that?
talked to them this morning, and as long as we turn in what they expect to be receiving, we're in good shape.
Okay,
And that's what we'll talk about, getting them the documents by February 12th. We'll get those turned in, and then we're going to work with Oscar to identify what type of package needs to be turned in, so and make sure that it's showing the right information,
great.
and then move forward from there, so.
Any other question for these gentlemen?
One quick one, Mr. Chairman. The airport committee has reviewed and they're recommending approval of the ALP?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, if there's no further discussions, there would be a motion in order to approve the ALP airport plan.
I'll recommend that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the motion's made by Mr. Crittenden, and I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Thank you, sir. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion is approved. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. Okay, regular agenda items, Broad Creek dredging amendment, addendum, with Seward Marine, and Heather Lewis and Matt Walker will be discussing that.
I'll kick that off, Mr. Chairman. As the board's aware, and I guess by public announcement, we were successful in receiving the Port Authority's grant that we requested for up to $2.3 million. We have been in parallel and in concert with that grant review by the Port Authorities, working with Seaward Marine to finalize the addendum to our existing contract, authorize them to begin planning and design of the dredge of Broad Creek. We completed that negotiation, and the owner of Seaward Marine has signed the addendum as presented. The permit authorizes us to dredge up to 28,000 cubic yards of material from Broad Creek. That brings our project cost to $1.471,600. So we have more than enough funding from the grant to fund the dredge. So that's some good news for you gentlemen tonight. Louis, Lawrence, and I have been in concert this morning. The addendum before you, and Heather will get into some of the details of the addendum, does allow for one potential change order, but right up front. The one unknown that we actually rode down to Deltaville today to see if we had any movement on it. The one unknown is the pipe that is supposed to be currently deployed under Route 33 between Norview Marina and our spoil site that allows for the discharge pipes to drain under the roadway. The pipe was installed, we believe, during the last dredge, but we can't find it. It's either really deep or really hidden, and Seaward's folks went down there and actually did some open pit testing to try to find it. They dug down 4 feet, still can't find it, but they did find where it was marked. So we're hopeful that they will find it. They just ran into some telephone lines that hadn't been marked by Miss Utility yet. So they're holding off until the marking's complete or Miss Utility gets out there to mark the telephone lines, and then they'll proceed their evaluation. So if the pipe cannot be located, it's not there or not usable, we did agree to authorize that one potential change order to install the pipe under the roadway. Estimated cost could be $200 to $225, around that, in that time frame, to install a 24-inch casing under the roadway. Louis and I discussed it, and that improvement may actually be covered under grant funds and/or the DCR grant funds that we have currently. We will work on the logistics of that and get back to the board on that.
Should have asked the state when they were here how far they're going to make us lay back in case we have to.
We've been
Get the
including
road up.
the state in our discussions.
Thank
and
you. Thank you
this-
for doing that.
Yeah, the state couldn't find a permit where the pipe was ever installed, so I shouldn't say that publicly, but hey, it wasn't us that pulled the permit, so there you go. But the plans show for the pipe being there, and we're pretty confident it is. It's just pretty deep.
When was the last time that dredging pipe was used?
2010.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe it's 2010.
which it was used at that time.
I was planning director at the time.
And-
And I talked to the previous county administrator. He said, Matt, you know the pipe's there because we rode down there several times and we didn't ride over any humps.
It's a steel sleeve, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the steel casing under the roadway to allow a pipe to be put
Pull-
through
Pull
underneath.
through.
So with that one exception, the $52 per cubic yard price is all in. And Heather, I think, can talk a little bit about details, unless I stole your thunder.
It's totally fine. So before y'all in your packet is the original contract with Seaward Marine, and then there's a first addendum. As you'll recall, this was done through an RFP for Phase 1 and Phase 2. So now we're talking about Phase 2. It should be, well, it was an additional handout. I think it's in the board packet on page 47. So what we're doing now is we've negotiated Phase 2, which is the actual dredging of the project with Seaward Marine. So in the addendum, Dave Kretz was, I really appreciate him and Chip and Mark Mansfield. Everyone's had a little hand in this addendum, but we now have the dredging dimensions that have been added into the addendum, so it's very clear what's expected. The key points that I would highlight to the board is that Seaward Marine has to complete this project within 4 months of us issuing a notice to proceed, and there are liquidated damages if they don't meet that deadline. And then the price is that it's $52 per cubic yard. We are expecting them to dredge up to 28,300 cubic yards of sediment to ensure that they meet the capacity allowances of our spoil site. Matt and I both are in agreement. Seaward Marine has made it clear they have a narrow window to get this done before they have their next job. So they seem highly motivated to get our job done and do well. I'm not saying they're trying to rush it, but they seem to have their own incentive for wanting to move this along rather quickly. So we've been very pleased during these negotiations, things that we've talked about, including in the contract, they've actually gone ahead and done. So they've been very good to work with to date.
So when would be the projected start date?
So if you authorize Mr. Walker to sign this today, what we'll do is, I believe Chip's reached out or already scheduled. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting. Chip, I'm looking for you. When's that estimated date?
We were hoping to have it later this month, but it hasn't been set on the calendar yet.
So once they have the pre-construction meeting, then we'll issue our notice to proceed. So I would like to think in the next 30 days, that meeting will occur, and we'll issue the notice to proceed. And then they have 4 months from then to complete it.
The verbal conversations we've had with the company lead me to believe they're going to start dredging late, maybe as early as late February, early March.
And they have how many days?
3 months.
They have 4 months.
4 months.
And we're going to request that they start the dredge out, working their way in, so we can get that critical area dredged earlier rather than later.
How will we know that they dredged the amount? Where's the checks and balances of someone going back out and saying, yes, it has met the criteria of 8 foot?
That's one of the requirements of the permit. Yes, sir. There will be a post-dredge bathymetric study done and turned into the Corps.
And we have our consultant, Mark Mansfield, with the PDC, and he has been very hands-on. And I know with Dave Kretz himself and his office will be checking in on things as well.
So we do have checks and balances in place?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And one other quick thing before I forget and we get far afield, the grant that we receive from the port authorities is a reimbursable grant, which means we pay the funds out and we're reimbursed through the grant July 1. So we've got the money in the fund balance and then the set aside for dredging to cover the cost of the dredge. But it is a reimbursable July 1.
So I'm sorry.
So we have to cover the cost.
Up to $2.3 million to.
Well, yes. Yes,
Okay.
on all fronts.
Okay. If they
Yeah,
come-
we have up to 2.3, but we really probably only need up to 1.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Then come July, we submit the bill for 1.5 and they would reimburse.
And then they
it, if that's the
replenish our
case.
funds. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
There's no match, no
No
state
match.
match?
No, sir.
Okay. And so when we are reimbursed, what are we going to do with that $1 million set aside? Are we going to retain that?
We automatically fill the dredge fund $1 million every budget year. In the proposed budget we're working up now, it's got $1 million in it still.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for the record, we have listed $50,000 worth of county funding to go towards the planning and some of the costs that we've expended through the PDC to handle the project for us. And then we have $236,000 from the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation for the dredging project as well. Louis and I are working through the logistics of that. Some of those monies, the $336,000 from DCR, we have to expend those by end of February 2025. So that'd be the first monies we spend. So,
Okay, and your recommendation is we proceed with the first,
authorized signature as presented.
okay. I need a motion, please.
I move that we do ask Mr. Walker to sign this addendum to approve it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All right, motion's made by Mr. Crittenden and second by Mr. Jesse. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion's approved.
And Mr. Chairman, one final comment on that. I really want to sing the praises of Dave Kretz, our planning director, and Mark Mansfield, our consultant, along with Kurt Smith and Louis Lawrence with the PDC. Heather's, all of Heather as well. They worked very hard to get us where we are, and we know that some members of the community have been a little flustered about how long it's taken, but that's the pace of getting permits and whatnot. This dredging project at Broad Creek really is serving as a good start, pilot project, if you will, for the PDC's dredging program that we're trying to get up and running. And I can't say enough about our planning director and his weekly meetings and Mark Mansfield keeping everybody motivated, coordinated, and moving forward, because without that, we probably wouldn't be where we are right now at this day and time. And I can't say enough about Louis and his team helping us with the grant. We've got a lot to be thankful for this year, so just want to have a little celebration of that.
Thank you for all the support of all of y'all for the project. It kind of became somewhat of an emergency type project, and a lot of people don't understand all the hoops that you have to jump through and applications, et cetera, et cetera. So thank all of y'all for your participation in making that happen as quickly as possible. You got anything? I saw you reaching. All right. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. And moving right along, let's go to the Middlesex County Volunteer Rescue Squad. And I'm going to turn that over to Matt for your discussion on the MOU, please.
Yeah, I'll kick that one off too, Mr. Chairman. With us today is David Lehman, our Emergency Services Coordinator, and of course Wayne's here as our Emergency Services Director. We have been working with the Rescue Squad to pretty much put a fine brush across the last memorandum of understanding that we had regarding the Urbana Rescue Squad and its kind of funding by the county. So we updated that. And you have a copy of the draft MOU in your packet. The Rescue Squad has signed the MOU. The membership and the board were fine with it, so they've already signed it. They're ready to go. The one essential difference in this MOU that I would highlight for the board is it does add a provision to allow them to request support for capital infrastructure improvements, like ambulances. When they have trouble funding an ambulance, for instance, they can come in and ask that we put that on our capital improvements plan and fund it like we fund school buses from time to time. It's upon request and subject to board approval and appropriation. It's completely discretionary, but the MOU was updated to allow for that. And there is a little bit of history in us in the county helping the fire departments out in capital expenditures in the past. Self-contained breathing apparatus, David reminded me that we had put together a program to help the fire departments update their aging self-contained breathing apparatus. You know, the safety of our volunteers is perhaps one of the most important things we seek after, and that was, I think, voted on unanimously by boards in the past. So we are aware that the rescue squad does need an ambulance. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow. And they have submitted a request for a little bit of funding for an ambulance. So I recommend that if there are no significant concerns with the MOU, it's substantially similar to what we already have. It just incorporates the funding of the Deltaville crew, the paid crew by the county. I would recommend the board consider approval of that, please.
And does that MOU run for a year, or is it renewable at some later date?
I think we have the term on it. When is it, David? 5 years. 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up June 30th, 2030, unless otherwise amended.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Yes, we understand the challenges of the fire department and the rescue squad, and we're trying to be as proactive as we can on that. And the reason I ask that question is things will change, and we may need to, review the MOU at some point and decide what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. With that, and we're challenging the rescue squad and the fire department to do everything they can for volunteers. I don't know if any of y'all saw this, which was in the paper last week. It was really, really well done. Helps promote not only what we're dealing with, but it made comments of Northumberland's fire department and several others in there. Everybody's facing some of those challenges that are out there, and trying to make sure that those challenges don't adversely affect our budget that we have to deal with year in and year out. So stuff like this, I think, is great, and we've challenged the rescue squad to put, whether it's in this Southside Sentinel or whatever, get more of this information out for the ability to maybe help produce more volunteers for those organizations.
I'll just add, Mr. Chairman, I know I speak for David and I both when I say we have a lot of confidence in the current team that's heading up the rescue squad down there. I think they've got things running in the right direction, and we're optimistic about them doing great things with the squad.
Wonderful. Okay, and what kind of action do we need to take? Is there a motion that needs to be made here?
Yes, a motion.
To approve the MOU for the Middlesex Volunteer Rescue Squad
And authorize my signature.
and authorize your signature.
I'll make a motion that we
Mr.
approve.
Jesse has made the motion. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Second.
Mr. Crittenden has seconded the motion. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please. Ms. Hammond?
Mr. Crittenden?
Yes.
Mr. Jesse?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris?
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Okay, moving right along. Broadband update from Mr. Gentry, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to give you guys a short update on BEAD. I think we spoke about it the last time I was here. That is the spraying out of the Infrastructure Act. There's about $1.5 billion that was earmarked for the Commonwealth of Virginia to reach every unserved household. And where we're at in the BEAD process right now is that there's going to be a bidding competition in the county by zip code that ISPs will bid to serve those unserved houses. So we may have Breezeline, we may have Verizon, we may have Cox, All Points Broadband. The last time that the Broadband Authority met, we voted to give our approval for All Points Broadband to be the one that Middlesex County is supporting in the BEAD process. That accounts for about 10% of the scoring matrix, so probably when it comes down to, it's not going to be that's good. That shows that the county would like to go in a certain direction, but they're going to look at the cost and all those types of things, and whether the people are able to do the job that they say they can. So that's kind of where we're at. What we'd like to do is get a consensus from the board. I don't know if it has to be a vote or not. I'll leave that to the smart people. But to approve the letter, we'll send one to All Points and one to Dr. Holmes at the DHCD to say that Middlesex County is supporting their efforts.
Consensus to move forward with the letter being put together?
Is Heather missing? Oh, God, I don't want to do anything without Heather.
I'll make a motion.
I don't know that we need a motion, just a consensus. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, and then I'd also like to say that All Points Broadband, make sure that the citizens register, get your name out there, because there's $95 fee installation. $199 fee installation, and then they have three different packages that you can buy. And right now, today, they're marking my lines, on the ground. They mark for the Virginia power line, so they won't cut into that, and then they'll mark the lines. So right now, they're marking the lines because I registered a couple weeks ago and paid my fee, and that's what they're doing for the upper end of the county, and I'm just trying to spread the word out.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Any other comments? You okay with the consensus? You okay with the consensus? Mr. Williams, you okay with giving Mr. Gentry the authority to follow through? Okay, and I give my consensus too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board. The other update kind of dovetails what Mr. Jesse said, and if you don't know, Mr. Jesse's the chairman of the Middlesex Broadband Authority, so he's been pulling at the oars right along with us. The All Points project, the Batty project, we did end up having to file an extension because the contract expired at the end of January. You have to do a 6-month extension, but the fact is the network engineers are in the field right now connecting to the backhaul provider, which is Segra. So they have to connect some things into the data center, but we expect that to be up this week. What that means is now that network is connected to the greater internet. So we expect to do like the first connection. We'll do some sort of event around that. So we're getting really close. Obviously, people are out here. You're seeing the trucks more and more. We want to make sure everybody knows about it. Go to the website. Go to Allpoints, apbfiber.com. That's how I remember it. And then put your address in. If you're in the project scope, put that in there, and it will allow you to set that up. It's important to know the 199, whether you're a quarter mile off the highway or if you're 50 feet off the road, it's still 199. After a year, that will change. So we want people to try to sign up as early as possible. So that's why we want to get that word out.
Are you putting any type of PR information together to put in the paper, et cetera, et cetera? Because how's anybody going to know? And I know the paper's not the only source out there, but are you doing that as well?
We're doing mailers, we're doing
Okay.
press and social media, and we'll be doing more on the website as well.
Wonderful. Okay.
And that was the last thing I want to talk about, if you'll indulge me, because we're awarded a planning grant. I may have said 25,000 planning grant. It was up to 25. We didn't actually need that, but we were approved for the amount that we were awarded. And so right now, we're in the midst of it. What that's going to do is to address other issues around broadband that don't necessarily have to do with just connectivity, whether that's digital literacy, education, affordability, those kind of things. So to that end, I don't know if it's still up, but we have a website. We did a soft preview of the website. This is not live yet, but I just wanted you guys to get a sense of it. There's going to be a survey here for the residents to take. We can get that feedback and sort of use that as we're starting to figure out where those needs are. There'll be an interactive map, and of course, when we're done with the plan, we'll share that as well. And this is the kind of the criteria. When we go after future BEAD funding to meet some of these needs, these are sort of the things they're looking at. And we check almost all of these boxes. We're definitely in a rural area. We've got quite a few, unfortunately, people that are living below that 150% of poverty level, aging, incarcerated. We have a jail here. We certainly have a bunch of veterans. So a lot of these things are going to dictate in the future how much of that we can get. And we've got a lot of plans already on the drawing board, like, maybe having somebody at the library that can sort of teach digital literacy or just help people, kind of understand, internet and computing and things like that. Maybe a little mini geek squad that can sort of help some of our folks out here, that they don't have to get ripped off by the real geek squad, in Newport News or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you. If you have any questions, please.
Any other questions?
I would also like to say, I would get with me and Kevin will get together, and a lot of times, we're gonna reach out to the churches where a lot of people meet, and they have literary union.
Yes, thank you.
Coming up in March, so me and Kevin get together and spread the word, because you have a lot of the elderly people that are not tech savvy, even, and then you get these little things in the mail, they think it's junk mail, you throw it away. So we really gotta get the word out. I've been talking to different people in the community, and I will do some, as you say, door to door every now and then when I can, when I'm out in the community, to let them know what's going on, because a lot of them don't even have a clue. They don't. I mean, because if you're not on the internet, and then you don't know how to pull the website out and do those kind of things, you know, and I was just saying, I'm going to try to reach out because the upper end of the county is the area that's not being served. And it's there now, people got to be aware of what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. You know, thinking outside the box and how you can get that information to people is major important. So thanks for that, for sure. Thank you, Mr. Gentry, for what you do for Middlesex County and trying to get our small rural area equipped, you know, for people to be able to use the internet, et cetera. You do a great job, and we ain't letting you leave anytime soon.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's see where we are here. Budget supplement request from Rachel Hardenbaugh, and I think Miss Anne Marie Riccardi, you're going to be presenting that. All right, you have the floor.
So Rachel has again achieved a state comp board grant related to, let me go back to catch the right page here. Who's driving, me or you?
You got it.
Okay.
I was going to do it for you.
Well, I say that with confidence. Where's my mouse? There we go. In fact, we'll just go ahead and go straight to it. She received a grant from the state comp board. There, you can see it right there, the $16,695 to completely fund a digitization, easy for me to say, an uploading of the deed books. Now, this should be completing this project, but regardless, it is a complete pass-through. She was unable to make this meeting. She did want to come and present to you all, just because it's actually a really great thing that they're doing, is putting everything electronically for us. So at this point, all we're asking for is approval of the acceptance of the grant and the payment of the indexing.
Questions? Okay, motion would be in order, I assume.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris. Oh, you wasn't
We're
here.
approving a grant for Ms.
Digitizing
digitizing
the records for
information.
Rachel.
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes. All right, motion's approved. Moving forward, Ms. Riccardi, you want to talk about Mardi Gras, please?
Absolutely. It is. This is way better. Every year, the board has been, every year since I've seen, since 2020 anyway, the board has approved the acquisition of a table at the annual Mardi Gras, which is a fundraiser for the Middlesex Kiwanis. The carnival level table is $750 and seats 8. It's scheduled for Saturday, February 22nd from 5 to 10 at Bethpage Resort. At this point, we ask that the board approve the payment of the $750 for a table for 8 and anything else you wanted to do. And of course, let me know who plans to attend. Duh. That's all I had.
Okay, motion be in order to again participate with the Kiwanis in having a table at the event. Somebody make a motion for me?
I'll move. Do we get a table there?
Okay, motion by Mr. Crittenden,
Second.
second by Mr. Harris, Bill Harris. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion's approved.
And if you could let me know which of you did plan to attend February 22nd, because there's 5 of you.
And just clarification, is it you approved the carnival table, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
That's what I asked for.
That's what you asked for? Okay,
Right.
good. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, well, that brings,
That brings a math problem, doesn't
the
it?
math is an issue, I
Mhm.
think.
Because if
everybody
there's 5
decides
times
to
2, that's
attend.
10.
Okay, so based on that, when's the event? March,
February 22nd.
February 22nd. So do we want to have an understanding that if everybody decides to come, we may have to do a second table? Is that,
Or we could just purchase individual tickets. So, and they would be seated at a table nearby.
okay?
Was the arrangement last year satisfactory to everyone?
Usually, everybody's up milling around, socializing anyway, so you're only in your
Somehow or
seat for
another,
a
they
little
worked
while.
enough magic and put us all at the same table last year,
Um,
I believe.
Well-
That can happen, as Matt will advise. Sometimes there might be a table, for example, if I bought the presidential table, I'd be able to say, oh, you know what, you can sit at my table because I don't have enough people, or somebody didn't show up. So that's how they were managed to do that in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say, a little bird told me that if all 5 of you wanted to go with your spouses, that the president was going to buy her
I'm
table.
not buying a table.
And that there would be plenty of room for everybody, but
Okay,
I did think about it.
okay, well, and that's something we can discuss, staff can discuss once we know what the numbers are, right?
That's correct. As long as I've got the general consensus, we have to purchase this, I don't say we have to purchase it, but there is a deadline for procuring this table of February 13th. I don't need to know who's going to go now unless you're going to exceed the,
Well, we've already approved the table.
that's, okay.
So whether it's individually or what,
Yeah,
that'll
if
be.
you could let me know by the end of next week, that'd be great.
Okay, wonderful.
Because you probably have to go home and talk to spouses or
You
something.
got me for 2 right now. I'm just letting you know.
All right, we've already
Put me
got
down for
2. 2,
Same
4,
for me.
6. Why don't I go ahead and buy the, if I
I
can't,
mean, if all 5 of you know you want to bring your spouses, you could do 2 tables.
I would just say if it's any kind of way you could put us all at one table, it does kind of show unity and stuff in
There you
the
go.
board.
Pull 2 tables together.
Okay. Further discussion on that later. I don't think that's going to hold you up.
it will not.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
One table. I'll purchase one table, and if there's extra, and then I'll purchase the extra individual tickets if needed. Fair enough? Okay,
Works.
thank you.
Okay, citizens' appointments. Anne Marie, you're still on the seat?
No.
No?
Yes, my name's on that, I believe.
You believe what?
Okay, the current vacancy is on the EDA, and I think that Mr. Weber and Mr. Savage were one of the two, either of the two were recommended by the EDA. Tossed it into the board's court. Yeah, EDA.
Okay. I thought that was a third person.
There is Christine Branch, and let me get the notes on that because I think that that one was not reviewed by the EDA. The EDA made the top 2 recommendations, and
It's my understanding, too, if I'm not incorrect, that Anton and Wayne had their applications in for a pretty good while.
Yes, they have been.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Yes, sir, Mr.
for
Jesse?
Wayne Savage.
Okay. Is there a second?
I just, I don't know as much about Mr. Savage. Why would you recommend him?
I'm spreading it out a little more, because I know we got quite a few from down in your district, and I'm just spreading it out a little bit.
I'd second the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Jesse, second by Mr. Bill Harris. And Wayne, if you don't know Wayne, he's an engineer. So,
Yeah, I was just thinking that Mr. Weber is affiliated with the marina down there, and it'd be nice to have somebody in the marina that would, be able to represent them on the board, but.
well, I think you have Joe Hyman, which is that he was a marina owner. Jerry's on it. He's from the Deltaville area too.
I don't know of anybody specifically, but there are starting to have some rotation off of the EDA. So there may be other people rotating off over the next year or two.
And was this person replacing somebody that had gone off? Yes. Yeah.
Celine Roden.
Celine,
Yes.
yes. Okay, thank you.
And I did go and speak with Mr. Savage, I think one of the last appointments we made, and he wasn't appointed, but I did go and sit down and speak with him for a few minutes.
Okay, any other discussion? There's a motion on the table. I think it was Mr. Jesse made the motion and Mr. Bill Harris seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion is approved, and I assume that somebody will make contact, Ms. Hammond, with Mr. Savage, please. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to let the EDA know of Trent, let him know. Okay, wonderful, thank you. All right, administrative updates, cigarette tax report on page 72. I don't guess it's much discussion that needs to be made about that, other than the amounts seem to be pretty consistent. All right, let's go over, let's move on to staff reports, and reports only on page 73 to 78. I do have a question for Mr. Kretz, I think. I don't know where that is. Planning Commission. Mr. Kretz, would you come forward?
Yes, sir. Make sure this appears to be.
It's on.
Well, it looked like we had an increase on, well, hopefully I can find it. I thought yes, single-family dwellings. Thank you very much. Yeah, pretty big jump from 46 in '23 to 97 in '24.
Yes, we did. Some of this can be attributed to a spike at Fairfield Trace subdivision.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Thank
That
you.
is partially attributes it, but if you parcel that out, I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were, but there still was a substantial increase if you factored that out of it too. So we seem to be seeing more residential construction here. I mean, we really do. See a little bit of a spike in, single-family dwellings. Manufactured homes seem to be staying about even, but we certainly, in the single-family homes, we've seen, a substantial spike. That's almost I believe that's a double, isn't it, over just about what we had before last year. So that's pretty significant. It's good news. It's good news. Certainly
Yeah,
is.
it is, absolutely.
You can imagine our building department and zoning department's been hustling, trying to keep
Right.
up with the inspections and that type of thing, and processing the zoning portion of it and the building part. It's, they've had
And you may not know this,
folks know it.
but are these permanent residents or are these part-time people?
I'm not sure who their sales are going to, but I would, at Fairfield Trace, I would attribute to full-time.
Full-time?
Yeah, I would say that.
Permanent resident.
And this is just anecdotal, what I'm hearing. Some of these are folks that already lived in the county, maybe sold a house and moved to that neighborhood.
Okay,
Some maybe scaled up, maybe some scaled down, that type of thing. So the golf course is a good amenity for those homes.
I heard talk of, some people are building more Airbnbs just for the sole purpose of Airbnbs.
Well, that's true. We're buying homes for Airbnbs. The Airbnb market, the Airbnb presence really spiked our single-family sales. and boosted that. It has been for the past several years. And, we have we're kind of you could say we're a little bit of a resort community. We have amenities here that other communities don't. So that certainly makes it attractive, especially some of these waterfront homes that they're doing it at. That's really, that there's, that not every county has that. And we do have some nice amenities. So. And I think we're continuing to try to do good things for this county, so, for sure, so.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kretz.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
That just kind of jumped out on me.
Oh,
so-
yeah, it was substantial. I was hoping somebody would notice that.
Okay.
It was put in there, we just didn't get the report in at the last minute, Joe.
Yeah, I
put it together, so.
spoke to David Self about it on Friday, and it would be, if it didn't come up today, it was coming up tomorrow morning during our budget
Yeah.
work session.
Yeah, it's good news, certainly is.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep.
What?
All right,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, next thing on the agenda is the budget calendar. As the board had discussed in their last budget work session, they wanted to make a couple of other modifications to the calendar. One was the modification to create the Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 budget work session, in a sense, moving it from this morning to tomorrow morning. That change is reflected on the budget calendar in your packet. Also, the update to the school board joint work session with the board for budget, that we added the high school renovation discussion at 6 p.m. to that on Tuesday, the 11th, 2025. That's in your packet. But I understand there's been further discussion, and the board may want to use one of the tentative work sessions that we have built into the calendar on Tuesday, February the 18th, for a joint work session with the sheriff and the Commonwealth's attorney regarding their budget requests. All of those additions have been made to the calendar and are here for your review and approval tonight, so we can get it to the media and to the website.
We're saying the 18th is tentative?
No.
It is until you vote on it tonight, yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, there's just been discussion on it. And I think the discussion was at 9 a.m., but I checked with Sheriff Bushy and Mike Hurd, and they're available pretty much all day. So whatever time during the day y'all prefer to have it, they said they were available.
Yes, and I had reached out to all of y'all on that particular date, and y'all seemed to all be okay with that. Yeah, a lot of meetings in February, right? Okay, so are we good for the, which it says tentative, but is everybody good for the 18th? Correct. No,
February.
February 18th.
That is the day after holiday. You think that's anything to do with the Commonwealth attorney, and think they'll be fine with that?
No, they didn't seem to suggest it would be an issue. They said they'd be available from 9 a.m. on that day.
Okay. Is everybody good with the revised changes? And we will stick with the 9 o'clock on the 18th, if that
Okay.
works for everybody? Okay? On the 18th?
So could we do maybe, what do you think? 1 o'clock? You think 11 o'clock? Is 11 o'clock okay?
Any objection to starting at 11? You think you'd be good with that, Reggie?
Yeah, I mean, check my eyes, and then I had surgery done, so just, checkup,
Okay.
Anne Marie, you're going to need to drive. For some reason, my stuff just went out. So can you make
Any
that?
objection to moving the 9 o'clock to 11? Everybody good? Okay.
Yep.
You know, you get up at 5, and it gives you a few hours to work before you come up here. Okay, then we're gonna change the date, or excuse me, not the date, we're gonna change the time. Instead of 9 o'clock, we're gonna go to 11 o'clock.
Okay. And y'all would need to vote to adopt.
To adopt,
That close, I would think Michael will buy lunch.
I think Reggie and Bill been talking about if we get it to 11, we can get lunch out of them. What do you think, Anne Marie? Yep.
okay,
After coming from Newport News, Reggie, can we place the order now?
Hey, yeah.
hold on. 11. So we need a motion to approve the amended calendar with the time change from 9 to 11th on the 18th. Is that right?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Any other changes? All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, okay, we've made those changes on the calendar.
We'll get a copy to Larry and to the Sentinel and get it on the website. And Anne Marie, can you go back to the packet? I'm having trouble with the mouse all of a sudden. Yeah, it's all over the place. And save that before you just, yeah, very good, thank you.
Okay, item number D under administrative updates, Mill Creek update.
Yeah, a couple of quick things, Mr. Chairman. Given, and I think we reported last month that the Working Waterfronts grant is on hold due to some staffing issues that we had at the PDC. In speaking with Bill and a couple of other citizens, one who has submitted a letter to the board requesting that we renew our energy directed to the state for them to maintain the site in lieu of us not moving forward with a grant. I seek the board's authorization for myself and whoever else wishes to come with me to set up a meeting with the state and to encourage them to take this design that the PDC has worked up through our consultant engineers and begin maintaining the wake boat ramp again as they once did. We feel like this is a strong design, and now that the Working Waterfronts grant's on hold for a year, we probably should pursue the state, move forward with this design, at least preliminarily, and begin maintaining the site again as soon as possible, hopefully before we can get the boating season underway. And I will say a special hat tip to Mr. Robert Brown. He's a citizen that's been working kind of alongside the committee at the PDC, and he's given us some great ideas to encourage the state on trying to incorporate into the design measures that may make the site a lot easier to maintain on a more consistent basis. If the board recalls, when we last discussed it before the Working Waterfronts grant came on the scene, it was a plan to go to the agency, try to work with them to maintain it again, find out what their pleasure was, and then perhaps even approach the General Assembly. It would be my intent to try to schedule a meeting with the agency within this week, next week, discuss the situation, find out what their thoughts are, and then, if not, start working on the General Assembly side.
How does that complicate the Working Waterfront grant?
I'm glad you asked. From my perception of the engineered design, they're almost interlaceable, if that's a word. I'll make one up if it's not. So if the state was to pursue this and implement some of the engineer's findings or design recommendations, I think the Working Waterfronts could come in behind it and do some of their improvements, incorporating that design into a renewed, more robust commercial site. So I think one could come in front of the other.
Okay,
And between VHB and the PDC's consultant engineers, I think they could work that out where that aligns. That's if the state will do it. And then as the third option, if the state agency doesn't come forward and start maintaining, the General Assembly is no help to us, the third option would be for the county to consider ownership and operation of the site. That was kind of where we left it last time.
I wanted your discussion, if, however it went, you have the option to be able to do the third one if need be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to check those boxes first and foremost, because while I'm confident we will be submitting a working waterfronts grant next year, and this is a good site for it, it's a decision, because we'd be taking over a state site, but we have no boat ramp south of the river, south of the bridge, excuse me, east of the bridge.
if we take that over, though, does that complicate the grant for the working waterfront or not?
I
Or
don't
do we
think
know?
so. I don't think so. As long as it's a public-owned facility, whether the state owns it and cooperates or we do, I think it wouldn't complicate it at all. I can double-check with Ricky with VHB to find out, but I'm satisfied it wouldn't.
I'm just going by memory. I think they were doing some restoration of West Point.
In Tappahannock.
And Tappahannock. I don't know about Tappahannock, but I'm pretty sure West Point is publicly owned by West Point. And if they're doing that, I don't know that, that doesn't seem like to me it'd be a conflict with the grant money, but might want to check that.
Well, when we've spoken to VHB about other potential sites that the county may be considering, they were very optimistic that if the county owned the property, it makes the grants go that much smoother. In fact, he even volunteered that if we were to buy a property, those grants could help reimburse cost of property acquisition.
Okay.
That's going to be a premier part of a
Right.
potential acquisition if we go through with
Right.
any potential acquisition.
Right.
Because we'd probably want to go through with a working waterfronts grant to get reimbursement.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, you'll have to help me. What kind of motion do we need here?
Authorize me to go muscle the state to maintain their property.
That's-
But let's clean that up a bit.
Okay. Okay, a motion would be in order?
Authorize the county administrator to enter into negotiations with the state on the Wake boat landing property.
Seconds needed.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bill Harris, and second by Mr. Williams. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Jesse?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden?
Yes.
Mr. Don Harris?
Yes, motion's approved for the county administrator to move forward on that.
Thank you. I'll move immediately on trying to get some meetings with the agency in charge. A couple of quick things, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lee McKnight with VDOT was here earlier. He mentioned the historic marker up in Laneview. We did have a citizen reach out to us and let us know that it was in bad shape. The price for the county to replace the panel would be $3,500. The Department of Historic Resources would replace the sign. Our cost is $3,500, and VDOT sign contractor would erect it. You do have money in the budget under board miscellaneous for such things if you wanted to pursue that. I didn't want action on that tonight, just want to give it to your attention.
Okay. Is that one of the metal signs?
Yeah, one of the metal historic markers. We got the money if you want to do it.
What is the historical marker? What is it, or what does it say?
It's a historic marker, I think, on the county itself.
Okay,
Yeah, it actually talks about the formation of Middlesex County, if my memory serves.
okay.
I know we have some of them throughout the county, and to be honest with you, I like for them all to be looking real nice. So I'm wondering if there isn't a better way than just replacing it, if you can, some kind of way they refurbish them every now and then.
I'm not aware of any.
I mean, I don't know how bad a disarray this one's in. It might be where it has to be replaced for all I know.
It's
But I'm for having
It's bad.
those nice markers in the
Yeah.
county. I think it looks,
Okay,
Yeah, I think, I I haven't noticed it because I just zipped through there, but it's in bad shape. And I think if you come into the county, you know, we want,
First impression.
yeah, you want a good impression in the county.
We have a member of the team here that's looked at it and said it looks like it needs to be replaced, and I support that.
I know it's the first time you've seen it. He brought it up tonight. I have the email. We have the money.
You want to make a motion on that, Mr. Jesse?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we go ahead and replace the signage. And it may be good for another 30 years, who knows?
All right.
I won't have to worry about it.
Motion made by Mr. Jesse to replace the historical sign, and second by Mr. Crittenden. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Bill Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Crittenden,
Yes.
Mr. Jesse.
Yes,
Mr. Don Harris.
Yes, motion's approved.
Thank you, sir. And the last thing I have is, we discussed it briefly last month. Chip and Dave and Anne Marie and I toured the potential parking site, and Anne Marie and I left really quick because we had other things to go do. And Dave and Chip came up with I think, an excellent design on some potential parking for the basketball court and the tot lot. And that is on your screen tonight. If the board's pleasure is for us to pursue that, it would be our desire to go ahead and try to get a bid up, get some prices on putting in gravel parking. And we would intend to gravel it at first.
Okay, use your pointer and give me a little help there.
Yeah, you want to come up and do it? Y'all did a great job. You help too. Don't be shy. You're going to get an attaboy for this. I think they did a wonderful job. So,
Maybe give a little, sometimes it's hard to tell with the drawing. Chip and I can kind of explain what our thinking was and the way we did it.
I'm leaving it alone. You got it.
Yeah, I think you can zoom.
You got the con.
zoom in on it. It's blue. So, yeah, you can see a little bit better now. We have a one-way, to try to save on gravel, we went with an angled parking type configuration. Yeah, they would come in from General Puller out there, but you would actually enter where the skate park gravel entrance is, and then you would continue and just keep taking left-hand turns till you came through, and then you took a right turn out of it. So we tried to, a couple things there. We were trying to reduce the amount of pipe in the job, so we didn't span the parking lot over the ditch. There's a fairly significant ditch.
And the ditch was preserved, if I can interject real quick. We talked about that on the site. I remember Wayne bringing up some concern that maybe some kids could run out into the drive lane of the road. Well, if we preserve the ditch, that creates a little bit of a barrier there. And Anne Marie's thinking maybe landscaping and maybe putting in a small split rail fence or something, making it look real nice, keep people out of there.
Yeah, we just, Chip and I discussed, we just wanted to keep the amount of pipe, to reduce the cost. We'd only have one run that goes under what is essentially a 15-foot travel aisle. And then that would be a little gap in there over top of the ditch. So the only part that would span the ditch would be the travel aisle. If the board wanted to punch a little bit more money in or spend a little bit more money, you could put additional piping in that existing ditch and span that whole portion through there. That's one option too. But we were trying to keep the cost down as much as possible, disturbance and that type of thing. So, but that would be an angled 45 in one way. That by angling those parking places, you reduce the amount of gravel too. Those trying to keep those dimensions down to reduce the cost as much as possible.
So the total space availability is 10, is that what we're looking at?
I believe that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we would probably have enough material on site to fill, don't you think, Chip?
Yeah, I think so. It's got kind of a slight hump in that little area right now, so leveling that out and creating it,
Right.
making it flat and using any of the spoils that we have existing down at the, by General Puller Highway to help level that out would be the objective. We also, we take the exit out kind of just in front of an existing tree right there, so it there is probably expandability if you keep the drive aisle going forward beyond that tree. If we do need to add parking spots later, perhaps another phase, could possibly do that.
But the tree would stay for now?
The tree would stay for now.
That'd be a good place marker, I think, kind of like the tree being there for a start.
Yeah, so you think the exit would be exiting just before you hit the tree that's there now?
Also, we kind of looked at, when we were out there, there's a swale on the back side of the parking lot on the tot lot side. Then there's the roadside ditch. So we kind of looked at it and said, well, there's a little natural crown in there that we really don't have to grade the area other than the contractor might have to pull a little of the topsoil out, put some, hopefully he wouldn't have to bring any dirt in that would be suitable for what we're doing. Then just bring a couple layers of gravel in. Very minimal grading and disturbance for what we're doing.
You got a anticipated cost on that, just for fun?
Well, I think as Matt, we haven't done anything ballpark yet, but I think we can get probably some rough prices and then maybe put it, how do you guys want to approach that?
I think we reach out to several local contractors that do this and see if we can't get some potential sweetheart deals from people wanting to help out with the playground. But we definitely draw it up and get quotes.
Right.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have some local contractors that take care of this with no problem. We're very fortunate in that aspect.
That'd be one afternoon's worth of work.
Yeah, we have several good ones that could whip this out pretty quick.
Thank you, guys, for looking at that and brainstorming it and whatever. I think it's needed, for sure. And it will improve the whole facility as well. So I don't know that we need a motion, do we? Probably just a consensus to continue to move forward?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say something.
Sure.
I was more concerned about less traffic on that main road with the sheriff department coming through. My vision, just my vision, being safety, is when you come in, have a straight one that comes straight across. In other words, if y'all had a marker, I'll show you up here. Where are we? Come in up here and have your parking. Here, come in up here and come all the way down. You still have all this parking, because you got 6 spaces here, 4 spaces here, and this place is gonna grow anyway. So while you're doing it, you come in with the main hard road, I don't know the topography of it, have it come straight through here, have your parking going straight like that, so you can go in and out. And then and that way, you can, most of your traffic stays off of the sheriff road. And then you still have all your parkings where you have these, but have them straight down. I know it may cost a little more, but I'm looking at the safety and the future of the buildup around this whole thing. Because you're going to need parking anyway. But all parking from here all the way down here, just to me, that's just me. And y'all may not agree with it, but in my vision, I want to keep as much traffic off of here. You can still have a lane there, if you ever have something. But I'm just saying, I want to keep as much traffic, because if you get a call, definitely you won't have a fence through here. And it may cost a little more, but I'm looking more at the safety aspect with the sheriff department, them running up and down, through there, and they get a call, they're going to have to kind of creep a little bit and be cautious, which they should. But I'm just saying, if you get a call, they're ready to roll. And more traffic going to build up on that road over the years if you have anything in the future. Think about that, because you may have other things that's going to be back there on that road. And I'm looking ahead, and while you're doing it, do it now, instead of going back doing it again. And that's just me, how I'm looking at it. But the rest of you probably don't look at it like that, but I'm looking at it in the future. It's going to cost a little more, but it's going to cost way much more 5 or 10 years down the road if you do anything different, because that old school building and everything going to be there too. And if you keep people off of that road, where the sheriff department is. That's where it's at now, and we're working on the sheriff department, and that's all I have to say.
Well, Wayne, I would tell you, you're kind of segueing right into perhaps some of the next discussion on all this, because while we were working on the parking, we had an opportunity to talk amongst ourselves. I think, Reggie, we talked to you a little bit about it too, about instead of piecemealing the development of the Buddy Park and the Cook's Corner area, maybe we come in and do a master plan and get it all kind of laid out, and then grab pieces of that master plan and implement it. And the parking could be part of that. I'm not trying to make something complicated out of something that could be simple, but if we were to master plan it, we may, and I don't know why I've got that particular sign. Let me grab something that's a little bit more
Yeah, I was
visible.
thinking
There we
of-
go. Yeah, let me do pan. Yeah, all right. If we master plan it, we may just show this whole area here, the demo, the old well pump house, and just show this whole area being parking. I
You know-
mean, I'm just suggesting, I think it would be a good idea to get a park planner engaged with some staff and the rec committee and do a master plan on the whole site.
I
And
think-
incorporate the old RCE building as a community center. I think that's the leading option. And just do it all at once, and then we can pull from that master plan and do pieces of it as we have a desire to do so.
Yeah, I think you were kind of thinking what I was thinking, that if we're gonna be doing anything creative with the old RCE building, the parking could serve both areas.
And it kind of gets at what Wayne's saying, because a park planner would say, okay, you've got a sheriff's office back there, maybe we need to do a little bit more thoughtful analysis on the traffic management.
But also, I think that Wayne has a very good point, that we need to have some sort of a barrier in the planning so kids don't go out into the road where the police cars are gonna be going up and down. It's kind of a dangerous mixed use.
Okay, so the consensus is to continue to chat about this, to continue to talk about it, and continue to see what options we have? Is that where we are?
How much, do you think having someone do a master plan there, just a rough figure would cost? You got any idea?
I'm going to look over at Anne Marie. We looked at it very preliminarily, but then kind of scrapped that because we wanted the basketball court and then we wanted the playground. Did we ever get any preliminary costs from a park planner on how to do, what a master plan would cost?
No, at the time, from the time I was here, I believe what was told to me was, let Dave design it. So that's, truthfully, that's all I've ever known
Did
is
a
that.
pretty good job with that,
Yeah.
but
So to that end, that's all we've ever done since I've been here is consult with Dave because he can make things happen on this paper. So we did not ever consult a master planner, designer, or anything like that to get a master plan designed.
we can give them a shot.
Well, I think that, I think what y'all done looks good. I also hear Wayne's voice there, and I think we do need to have vision going forward. And we want to do everything professionally. What we've done there, Anne Marie, you've done a great job. It looks nice. It's top shelf. And we want the whole area to be like that. So to be professionals in doing this, I think to consider having a master plan is the way to go.
We'll get you some prices and bring it back next month. How about that?
Yeah, I think move forward and see what you think.
And in the meantime, I'm going to try to move vigorously to level out Mount Walker, the dirt pile in front, and level that site up a little bit. We'll try to get some prices from some excavators to do that as well.
What is the, there's a box here in front of the court that says State Park.
Skate park.
Oh, is it skate park? Never mind.
But hey, I like where your mind's at. I'll see if the state wants to take over maintenance of that too.
Okay.
No,
Okay, cool. All right.
but, and I'm not gonna say no more, but I'm just saying, let's don't drag our feet on this now. You know, you got the basketball courts and things are going there. And we got an engineer and this looks great. I think it's just communication with us talking and kind of get this front side done and do the master plan on everything else, in my opinion. But what I'm saying, you're still not alleviating the traffic that's going to be on there during the summer. So we got something in plan. Let's keep doing something there because I need to know how long it's going to take because this could be another year before you have anything done. And then you're going to pay somebody millions of dollars to do a master plan when we got an engineer. And y'all both are intelligent, and with some input from people from people around here, I think y'all can do just as good as any master plan that's sitting up on sitting back up there in Richmond somewhere, writing stuff, and they don't live here. We live here, and we can get inputs how we want things to see in there. And I'm just saying to go through. I think we could do this quicker. I mean, with the committee, and these two guys here, they work for the county. Hey. Why you gotta go get outside? Somebody gonna tell you, hey, you put this here, you put this here, you put this here. I mean, let's make some sense and know what we want to do here. And I think we got good help here to do what we need to do in an orderly manner as soon as we can, where we ain't got to take a whole long time. But do what you want to do, Matt, on that, and see. But don't drag your feet on it. That's all I'm just saying. Do not drag your feet. Let's get it done.
Well,
So
I
is
can
there
tell
a
you, as a recovering planning director, I would have loved the opportunity to plan a park site. And I agree with you, Wayne, if they can take it on and do some
Yeah.
sketches, maybe we start off with that.
I'm fine with that. I'd love to.
This is good.
I'd probably rather
like
do
the
that
truck
than what I
meeting.
do
I
day
mean,
in and
better than taking complaints, right?
I would love that. That would be awesome.
If I could ask for a tree plan,
Yeah,
so
we-
that kind of layout too, because that's what I needed.
Little blocks. you just
Yeah.
pop them.
Well, the more we do on the front end, even
I
if we
get
get a
to
planner.
volunteer for the tree planting and the
Yep.
vegetation.
In CAD, you just.
Is there a consensus from the board, I guess, to get Dave maybe, so we can get forward?
I
What,
think Chip and I will work together on it. Yeah.
okay?
You'll come with another option.
Yeah.
Come up with some options to go to the rec committee, get their blessing.
And Anne Marie, the rec committee, they need to get that going again too, because I haven't heard anything from them. We haven't had any meetings put it that way, but we got to get something going on.
So we'll try to get something before next month. I have a solar facility on my plate and some things that are pressing that need to go, but I'll try to put this on my list of things to do too. Chip and I, we both have a lot to do, but we'll try to fit it in there and get something.
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
You know, the master plan, that can be developed later, the bigger part of it. Initially, we're talking about the safety and parking ability, so people don't have to park on the road, they'll have some parking, and even, these first two that you got, we may do them to start and then keep furthering towards 33. So y'all put your thinking caps on, see if you can get some preliminary quotes of what it would talk. So, it may be a 5-phased approach over time.
Right.
As opposed to trying to,
Phase into parking.
yeah.
And Wayne, I think what you're looking at is maybe exiting onto the old bus loop road.
Yeah.
And maybe they put some of the traffic back out in the easterly direction, back out on General Polar. Is that what you're kind of
Yeah, that's what I'm looking
envisioning?
at. More of a safety thing.
Okay.
Keeping it off that main thoroughfare.
Right,
Yeah,
I want to
keep
all
as
the
much traffic as
exactly off that
possible
main
off that
corridor.
thoroughfare. Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Sounds good.
Wait a minute, I got a couple of things I want to say. I look at
Yeah.
the road, because I've been looking at this site for a little while anyway. What you got is entering by the state park and then coming out down halfway, and that's, how wide is that?
Reggie, the drive aisle is 15 feet. And the way the 45-degree parking, it was, a regular parking place is 18 foot long.
Okay.
18 by 9, but when you do them 45, you can do some other things. So I think it was like 14 to 15 feet, so that total area was roughly 30 feet wide, counting the spaces in the drive aisle.
And then y'all was talking about leaving the ditch like it is and just landscaping
Just for
it.
starters,
Then you're
yeah.
gonna have stoppers there for the vehicles that pulls up.
Yeah.
Then you
it-
won't
it
put a
would be-
fence there, stop somebody from driving the car straight across the ditch in the road.
Well, it would be
I'm just saying it
Yeah,
like that.
parking.
You be parking catty corner, then you're gonna stop kids from walking out in the road instead of smoothing the area and actually putting a fence up closer to the road. And the idea is, it's probably gonna be, if they're gonna drive from the police department so fast down there where they get, we don't have a stoplight down there where they gotta come out at, so, we gotta consider that too. But if you wanna put a fence there, put a fence in a driveway, we don't wanna use all of it in parking, because I like the other side, where you got the easement access, where we got that water tank at, where you got about 4 or 5 parking areas right there. And on the other side of the kid building, you could easily park 10 cars, because what you got now is what, Dustin done ducked dirt all in there and messed the whole thing up to me. And that's how I look, because them cars don't have to park there. You could have a parking access on that side. Then you could also, on the spaces, instead of going that way, you could go back the other way. So all of a sudden, them trees that we don't want to move, guess what? You'll move someone, because the parking will be somewhat there, but it's something you just gotta measure and gotta look at it. But I think it's something y'all can do. And make sure we check with the committee that when y'all do that. So I like to
Have
know
a
y'all-
couple options.
Look, I like to go, I want y'all to do the committee thing, with Anne Marie on it, so I can go through them 20-some women there and see which way we can get it, because it's like it's saying, we want something to look nice. Now, if we're gonna put a fence, we want the fence to look nice and we want it to stay.
Yeah.
And we don't want the kids to run out in the road. Well, let me tell you something. If you put a hill that they can run down and run out, I ain't gotta ask you what they're gonna do. They're gonna run down that little slope and they be out there in the road. So, you need some type of fencing. And, so don't wait. I agree with Wayne. I don't wait no lot of time.
Right.
But that water tank they got, Matt, that water tank gotta go. Get your lift and take it out there and give it away or something. Just get it out the way, because right there, that section right there, you could be able to park about 8 cars easy. And they got 6 inches
It's not
of
in use.
concrete.
Yeah.
They got 6 inches of concrete that the county had paid for, that didn't even know, most of it didn't even know we were putting 6 inches of concrete there to go down to that pumping station. See, we paid for that, and we didn't even look at moving it more to the left so we could utilize it. So the engineer drew that, okay, passed it in some way, and took all our parking space, now it's right there in the middle. So we got parking space there that you can walk to the playground too. A sidewalk, you can make it look good if you keep the gravel from the buildings, because buildings don't look good with the gravel just running right up to the building. Normally, they got little grass around the building, because when we do the 3D mural on that wall, see, y'all haven't even realized that yet. So when you do the 3D mural on the wall, you got the whole area there in a drawing, and that's being checked now too. A drawing of the whole area, so you can actually look at it. You'll see the playground, you'll see the ballpark, you'll see the skating rink. So all of a sudden, you're looking at it and you're actually seeing something, than just putting it together. And hopefully we can do it, because we got an engineer and a planner. So I'm hard on engineers. So anyway.
So they got you doing a 3D mural now. How y'all feel?
Well, look, that just a thought.
I have no artistic ability.
No, I know
I'll
y'all
have to
can't
hand
do it,
that
but
one
I'm
off.
saying,
sorry.
if you go down Gloucester, you come up at the light and what they
Yeah,
got
that's
drawn on the
pretty.
other side, go down by the library in Gloucester where you go right at curb at, that's a 3D. And if you're real good at it, you can almost look like you can reach right into it.
Yeah.
All these pictures here they got on the wall, if you had them in a 3D, they'll look more real than what they is, but that's real enough, but a 3D, I'm just saying it, man, and I believe that it could look so good till I was in the hospital last year, and you walking on one of them floors and it had steps there, just like that. And you look at that thing, just like that wall right there, and you was walking toward it, it looked just like you was ready to walk up them steps, but you weren't gonna walk up the steps. And I started asking around, like, where you get it from? Somebody gotta have imagination to do that. We can't afford to build everything. We got a lot of historic buildings, museums and all this kind of stuff. We can't save every piece. But in some type of setting, we can save everything that we got, and everybody enjoy looking at it. And if you haven't seen it, go around and look at some pictures of things done in 3D. You know how they used to do boats and put them in a jar? But 3D, you just use paint in your head. You got a couple girls here in the county that can paint.
Matt, one thing, the well there, the pump house has been mentioned. At one time, there was a program that would help fund abandoning wells. I don't know if that's still in play or
I'll
not.
look into it. I think it's with the health department. I know the well's been decommissioned and the well house is no longer in use. We had thought we may want to save that pressure tank or maybe donate it to the water authority. Last time we had it looked at, it was in pretty good shape, but the well house can definitely go. And if it does go, that opens up that middle for parking. So we'll sketch up something showing the demo of that well house. I'll look into that grant too, or not grant, but some funds to abandon wells.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
And I think Anne Marie will volunteer to help do the 3D mural.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your work and continued effort.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. County Attorney update.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one thing in addition to my staff report. It came up, time is flying, I want to say last meeting, maybe it was another meeting, but it's come up recently. Administration would like to change the deadline for when the documents are due for your Board of Supervisors packet. Currently, in your rules of policy, in your policy and rules of procedure, under Article 5, Section 5-1, it says that every item to be placed on the agenda shall be received in the office of the county administrator before the deadline established by the county administrator. And then it opens in parentheses, 4:30 PM on the last Tuesday of the month prior, close parentheses. And so administration has suggested that it would like to get the packet to you on Thursday, and therefore would like to move the deadline back to the Monday. So instead of Tuesday, it'd be the last Monday of the month by noon. And so while your policy says that it can be set at the discretion of the administrator when that deadline is, it still has written in here the deadline. So I was tasked with bringing before you, do you want to change this? You want to leave it alone? If you do want to change it, can I just mark out take out the actual deadline time so that future administrators can change that if they should, or kind of allows us the ability to do what it says, which is the discretion of the board member.
No.
I don't have it in your
No.
packet. This
It's
was
not in
something that came up kind of at the last minute for me that I was asked to discuss. So I can put the materials together and let you look at it. I'll be happy to do that. Sure. I just wanted, this has been a discussion.
And it's your board policy.
And it's your policy. And so the board policy currently says that Matt gets to decide when the items are due for the packet, right? But we've had but then in parentheses, it says what the deadline is, right? So the deadline is the Tuesday before the board meeting.
So that you can pick up your information by Friday.
Yes.
And what she's saying is, because currently, Friday sometimes can be a nightmare for the staff in trying to get all of that together and put together, and you have people coming in that want to add something late. Sometimes we don't have any ability to add it late, and sometimes we do, but it puts undue pressure. Am I correct?
I would let administration speak.
On
I
staff.
can speak to it a little bit.
And this would give
if I can.
another, what this would do would be, then the staff, I think, would be able to use Friday if something crazy comes up or whatever happens that delays them getting it ready for Friday, of moving the date back instead of Tuesday would be Monday, correct? Okay.
And if I could speak to it briefly, Mr. Chairman, I know we're running a little late on some of these, but there's two primary reasons why I think this is needed. One is we have a struggle sometimes with some of the agencies and departments that feed into this packet getting their materials in a timely manner. That has been historically troublesome. There's always the two trump cards, and that's the chairman. If they want something on the agenda, it gets on the agenda. And the county administrator, because he may be aware of something that the board has to take action on because of time frames. The AELP plan was one of those.
Yes.
But there's other stuff that, guys, get your stuff in. And that's the main reason, because it helps Shanae and Brittany and Emery get the agenda solidified so they can go over it with the chairman, get the chairman to approve it, and then start preparing the packet. The second reason is if we have that packet prepared for Thursday or Thursday afternoons, I can go back to what I used to do, hearing the board. I want to go back to calling each one of you on that Friday before a board meeting and run through the packet with you, because I want you to hear from the staff and the administration what's in your packet. And it may mean I have guest stars like Dave or Anne Marie with me when there's something specific from them, so each board member has the same information each board member has heard. Some board members are more involved, some board members stop by more often. This way, before board meeting, you've heard from me, and we've went over that packet. And if you had any specific questions on anything, we got a day and a half, in some cases, Monday, to get those answers for you. That's the two reasons why I want the change.
So if the board would like, what I'll do is I will present, I'll work on some revisions. I'll send those out to you under memo and get your feedback, and then I'll have it ready for your board meeting next month, which is March. Lordy, I need coffee or something. Sorry, gentlemen, my brain seems to be slowing down. Or if you don't want to do it, then I won't do it at all. I mean, it is truly, what is your pleasure? He's asked for it. I will gladly revise the language and give you some options. You can noodle on it. Maybe that's where we leave the discussion.
I'm fine with that approach.
Okay. Anybody got heartburn about me? I'll noodle with it and, okay. All right, well, I've got my marching
Let me
orders.
just add to that conversation just a little bit. Now, going into the second year, I've had an opportunity to experience that. Let me tell you how I operate as the chairman with the agenda. It better be something that's time-sensitive that for some reason got overlooked, because I have very little tolerance for additions to the agenda at the last minute. Am I correct on that? Yeah. You know, it just puts a whole lot of stress on everybody, including board members, that the last minute, you have no idea what's going to hit, and all of a sudden, this becomes a big item. So I've been trying to challenge and to lead departments that historically are late getting their stuff in to get their stuff in. Don't expect for you to be on the next agenda if you can't get your stuff in when it needs to be there. So the thought process is maybe this back up a day gives a little extra time for that to happen, for people to be able to get their stuff when they need to get it. But I'm very non-tolerant about that. That being said, if 3 of you come to me and say, such and such really needs this on the agenda, I can be outvoted on that.
That's in the policy as well.
That's a policy that we have. However, I don't, I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for the fact that we're sitting there ready to do agenda item or approve the agenda, and all of a sudden, well, this came in and this person wants this added or not. That doesn't get a whole lot of tread with me, just so you know.
Well, and it gives staff a day to get the board packets in your hands and talk to each one of you to see if you have questions. So if there is something we need to brief you on before it comes to the board as a whole, we
Right.
have an opportunity to do that on that Friday.
Right. Okay, Ms. Attorney, continue on with that process, and we'll think about it, we'll see what you come up with, and then we'll move from there if that works.
Yes, sir, I got my orders. I'll get to work.
Okay, wonderful. All right, unfinished or new business. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss? You just juggling paper there? Okay, I'm gonna move, so unfinished business, nothing. Any new business? Hearing none, seeing none, matters presented by the board. I'll start with Mr. Jesse.
Well, I did have the broadband committee, and Kevin took care of that, and the PDC, with Broad Creek and everything, we talked about that, but we also in a new building now, and I know we're not getting rent from the old building, but right now, the building that we're in, over there, and that is Mattapan, what is that? Shackelford, in Shackelford. If you head to West Point, you'll see that building on the angle. Very nice building, and in King Queen County, and it will be utilized very well. Other than that, that's all I had for my committee reports.
Wonderful, thank you, sir. Mr. Jesse. Mr. Crittenden.
No, sir.
Wonderful. Mr. Harris, Bill Harris.
I'm good, thank you.
You good? Mr. Williams?
Well, I went down to, same thing Jesse did, and I thought it was a right nice building, and looking at it on the inside, that how it was built and how they put things together, you should learn things all the time. And I went to, some constituents, or whatever you call it, our district that was complaining about water. And I went down and looked at the system we got, showing great concern, and everybody, pluck with the numbers, and we mess with the numbers, and we give people a cost. And we're to me, we at a place never need more people that gonna pay. And if we don't get them to pay, then we're gonna keep on going south. And I went down and talked to a gentleman, and they were saying what they was willing to do in that, and I would hope that the Water Authority would work with them in some kind of way. I'm pretty sure y'all know which ones I'm talking about. And it might not be, you got to do it in partnership at direct cost to get paid. And you got to make it'll be profitable to the county, but you got to forget about everything else you've done. You got to forget about the system you started that basically failed because you don't have enough money in it. You got to think, how can we hook up people that may be at a least price, but they'll be buying it unto a payment that they might be paying the rest of their life, but I don't know. But I told the gentleman that, I said, would you rather be do certain things? Would you think about putting your taxes, if you want to pay your taxes against your land? You got X number of people. Are you willing to do because the land you got is not valuable now? And see, it's not a mystery. There's a lot of places in Middlesex County that have water systems that they had put in. And now, 20, 25 years ago, and maybe longer, maybe 30, 40 years ago, and it's catching up with them now. And they don't want to drill wells and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, all we got to do is apply the source, and they'll be paying the same thing. So I'm not saying when a person really wants something bad enough, you catch them. But sometimes they got it. And that's one thing I'm looking at. If they want to hook up, we know what it costs, direct costs, and staying out of trouble and stuff like this year, and let them buy into it. It might not be likable to everybody, some of the things I'm saying, but sometimes if you're going to help somebody, you're going to have to do something a little different than we always are doing, especially if it don't cost nothing to the county. But that was a good experience in going down and just walking around and looking at its system and system that they had. And I said, jerry rig stuff you got here back in the day, but it works. You go down in Deltaville, down there at Providence Road, and I go Lucid Grove, I think. And I'm riding down the old yellow bus. You think I'm not looking at everything? I see these tanks back up in the woods, right? Oh, yeah, it's down there, the water thing, and they're all over. So we don't have to beg them to hook up. But if they want to hook up, it's a fee. And you can do it. If you don't crunch the numbers in a different way, you got to crunch the numbers which to satisfy the problem. But that was all I had, talking to a lot of people, And I'm learning a lot of things from different schools and stuff like this. Yeah, I've been looking at, and I'll tell you, it's good to look somewhere else. And, just like, for instance, we talking about meeting with the schools on the renovation. And we haven't been nowhere else and look at schools and the pros and cons of how they look when they finish, the problems that you could have. We got the sheriff's office, for instance, we done, I guess, a total renovation. And, you look at the problems you'll have. Then what you're going to do, the reason why you're doing it. And you don't need to be told, well, like I told my guy on the board, I said, well, we got to worry about the cost. I said, no, you got to furnish the best education you can for our kids and let the taxpayers worry about how we want to get there. And I think they've lost focus on self, and they've heard me say some things about new versus renovation. They go all crazy over that. It's common sense over no sense at all. And if you use sense and you go out and look at things at different places, you believe they got home ec back in schools now, for instance. I went down Lafayette, they got home ec. So we make chefs out of these, and this is by what I've seen. I asked the guy, I'm taking them over to New Kent. Now, I'm not picking on New Kent, but guy said, I said, man, what you gonna do when you go out of school? He said, I'm going, I already got accepted to be a history major. I said, well, why are you gonna go over? He said, man, I just wanna learn how to cook. I said, man. I said, you taking somebody else's place, they want to do something, but they just want to learn how to cook. Everybody got their reason. And if you don't make hard decisions, and you're not going to be lack when you make hard decisions. If everybody love you, then you better watch out. Because that's not a good thing. Sometimes you got to make hard decisions. It might not be what you want, it may not be what they want to hear. But, they can lead us in a well sometime if we pay attention to a handful of people. They'll lead you in a well. But hopefully we can finish that sheriff's office and get that all done. And that'll be one project we hopefully get done this year. And get that done and get that behind us and get this playground rolling. We got the cafeteria. We done played with it. How long we played with them, Wayne?
I was a young boy when it was.
All right, we done been 50 years. See, we laugh at it, but if you're not gonna do nothing, and this is how I feel today, if you're not gonna do nothing, Put it in a historic landmark, put it in something. Do the 3D, do what you want to do. Put it in a museum, because we don't have no museums up here that's big enough to hold anything like what I'm talking about. We got one over Banner. If you go to the museum over Banner, what do you see? Got a very valuable possession. If you go over there, very valuable, last time I was in one possession they got over there. And we don't have nothing at a museum to create money. It always raise money to do what you want to do. You go to different museums, they got stuff in there you see. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time on that, but we just got to work.
I would like to amplify on one thing you said there. I do believe that cafetorium down there, I do believe some type of dinner museum would really serve the citizenry here well. You give the opportunity to be able to have something in the museum line and have something like a dinner at the same time that would kind of blend with everything. And I think we could get a lot of community involvement if we did something along those lines. And you're still going to have the building to have other functioning if you need to. But for its main purpose, to be some type of dinner museum, I think would really be a step up for the county. I think it would be a good thing to look at. And like I said, if your group there would like for me to come talk about some ideas, I surely would if it comes up.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. I will now open the public comment section. Seeing none, I will close the public comment section. And we're going to take about a 8 to 10 minute break, and then we're going to go into closed session. Are we good? Huh? Take a 7 or 8 minute break, and then we'll go to the bathroom, get you some water. Huh? Yeah, well, I'm ready to go with it too.